Hello and welcome back to my scrap room. My name is Jennifer Perry and I am an independent consultant with Close to My Heart. We're going to be working on doing the cutting guide today, so if you understand how the Close to My Heart cutting guides work, you understand how to use your trimmer, you totally get the concept of the cutting guide, go ahead and skip this video and go over to the 'Tis the Season assembly video. But if you're new to scrapbooking or you're new to Close to My Heart and you're not quite sure how to use the cutting guide, stick around with me. We're going to go ahead and do that in this video, and then in the next video we're going to be doing the assembly. So what comes in the kit is the professionally printed cutting guide and assembly guide. You get 'Tis the Season snowflakes, 'Tis the Season buttons, which these got put in the package upside down, but there they are. You get the 'Tis the Season compliments. I have not opened these yet, so we'll be opening these together in the next video. And then you get a full pack of paper. So if you've never done the cutting guide with me before, let me show you one thing that I have that keeps me organized. So I just have 3 12 by 12 paper trays that I have labeled layout 1, layout 2, and layout 3. And I have in each of them the photo placement cards that come in the kit, already separated and in their little trays. And I just have this sitting off to the side, and as I make the cuts, I just pop them in their little tray. Now you can do this with the 12 by 12 baggies, you can just make regular piles, but I find I have a cat, so the trays work better for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the B&T paper and separate it from the cardstock. I'm just going to set the cardstock aside for a moment. Now the B&T paper has, this isn't going to stand up, hold on. There we go. The B&T paper has this little strip. We're going to cut the strip off all of the papers first. And we're going to set them aside, we still need them. So I don't know if you have the Fiskars cutter with the wire. I don't know if you can see the wire right there. But for me, this is where the wire absolutely shines, because I can line it up right on that cut line. And it cuts perfectly, exactly what I need. That one's going to be hard to see, so we'll do this side. Sometimes you have to flip the paper over to see the cut line more clearly, and that's okay. So I decided I was going to try and do this workshop yesterday. I had an idea of how I could dress it up even more than the original layouts. I even did a Facebook Live that I, showing the prep. And then when everything finished cutting the way I thought it was going to cut, what was in my head and what actually cut didn't match. So I stopped what I was doing and I thought about it overnight. And I think I've come up with a plan B of how to dress it up, but and make it more like what I see in my head, but still be true to the original layout too. Okay, so these are the PML cards, the cut apart PML cards. We're going to cut both sheets. So we're going to cut the zip strip off of it. And then we're going to trim them down. And I believe I totally messed this one up. There we go. I'll tell you, these PML cards, I was not sure. They're actually Picture My Life cards. When they first came out, I was not sure I liked them. Wasn't sure I was ever going to use them. And the more we play with them, the more I like them. Okay, this is prime example. See how this side you can't really see a cut line? But if you flip it over, you see an actual cut line. So sometimes you just have to flip your paper. Oh, I did it again. I'm not quite sure why that didn't cut correctly twice, but that's okay. It could be user error. Let's do it this way. Okay, we're going to set this aside for just a moment. We're going to bring out our cutting guide because the next step is we're going to look ahead. We're going to find out which pieces are going to be the base pages. So for project 1, it's going to be the hollies. So we're going to pull those out and put them in tray 1. For project 2, it's going to be the chalkboard. So we're going to put that in tray 2. And for project 3, it's going to be the holly branches. So we're going to set this paper aside, and we're going to pull out our zip strips. So we need the polka dot ones. The polka dot ones are going to go into our 2 tray exactly the way they are. Nope, actually I lied. 11.5, so let's cut those down. So we just really need a 1/2 inch. So we're going to put this into tray 2. The next one's going to be the candy canes. Okay, so I just had to stop for a second. I had to open the window. It is way too hot in here. It's a little bit rainy outside, so if you hear outside noises, that's what's going on. But if I turn my ceiling fan on, you can't hear me. So, plan B. Our next one's going to be the candy canes, again at 11.5. And these are going to go into the 2 pile also. And then we have these 2 pieces. And that's going to be it. So let's put those back in the others back in the bag. And these are going to be trimmed. One of it's going to be trimmed to 6.5. No, I'm sorry. It's going to be trimmed to 6. So there's that cut. And then the next one is going to be trimmed at 4. And we need 2 of these. And this one is going to be scrapped, so let me hang on to that one so I don't lose it. And these all go into project 3. So my scrap piece goes in the baggie, and my cut pieces go into 3. Now we need this card and this card, and I believe that's it on the cards. Yes. So we're going to put the rest of the cards away. So on this card, it's correct exactly the way it is, so that's going to go in the 2 pile. On this one, I need to do a trimmy trim, because for some reason my cutting skills today lack. And then we're going to cut this piece right here. And just to make sure, 3. Just to make sure before I cut, I'm going to go ahead to 3. And that is correct. But we're going to leave a little bit of the green, because it says to leave a little bit of the green. So just like that. And that goes into number 3. And this one can go in our baggie, because it's still useful. So our first cut, this is considered the front. So our first cut is going to be 4.5 by 12. And we need 2 of those. And this goes in the 1 pile. And then we need 2.5. So there's 2.5 by 11.5. And that's 11.5. This goes in the 3 pile. And this is scraps. I need to find a better place for my scraps bag. The other of that same sheet, it's red on this side. This one's considered the front. So we need 2 cuts at 1 inch. These go in the 1 pile. And then we need 2 cuts at 1.5 inch. And these go in the 1 pile also. And then this piece is scrap. Now you know with your scraps you can make cards, you can make other layouts. There's all kinds of things you can do with your scraps, so don't ever get rid of your scraps. I'm going to move on to this sheet. This is considered the front. We need 1.5 by 12. We need 2 of those cuts. And this goes into the 1 pile. And then we need 2 cuts at 1 inch. This goes in the 1 pile. And then we need 2 cuts at 2 and 11.5 again. So we're going to do 2 cuts at 2. And then we're going to flip them and do 11.5. And this goes into number 2. And this is scrap. Okay, our next sheet of paper is going to be, again, the hollies, but this time we're going to flip it over. And our first cut is going to be 7.5, so we need to open our arm. So 7.5. So there's 7. There's a half. And then we're going to flip it around and do 5.5. So there's 5.5. And this goes in the 1 pile. And then with this sheet, we're going to do 6.5 by 6.5. And I believe it is at 6 1/4. On my trimmer, that is 6.5, so that's correct. And this is going to go in the 1 pile. And both of these are scraps. I'm going to watch the window and make sure my paper's not getting wet, because it is raining. Okay, so our next is going to be the linen cardstock, which almost looks white. I don't know if you can tell the actual difference. This one is the white daisy, this is the linen. I'm going to scoot my cardstock over because it's really raining. And it's going to be 9 by 9, and we're going to do 2 cuts. So this and this is going to be the same cuts. And I believe these all go, yep, these go in the 1 pile. Where 1's going to be a busy layout. And then these are scraps. So with your candy apple, alright, I'm going to close my arm now so we can have a little more room on the desk. With the candy apple, we are going to do 2 cuts at 1. And those go in the 1 pile. we're going to do 2 cuts at 1/2 inch. So right there is the 1/2. That goes in the 3 pile. And then we need 2 cuts at 1/4. And 1/4 is easier to do on this side. Let me bring it down some so you can see. Okay. So here's your cut line. Right there's 1/4. And then it is again at 11.5. Okay, so far my window's staying dry. Okay, so this is 12 inches already. So to do 11.5, you guys have seen me doing it the entire time. I just forgot to tell you what I was doing. Instead of pulling out the arm, right there is 1/2 inch. And we're only taking off 1/2 inch to make this piece 11.5. So we do that, that's the 1/2 inch, that's 11.5. And these go into the 2 pile. And now for the white daisy, let me put the candy apple away before I spill it. It's raining, but I got a nice breeze going on, so I'm going to leave the window open as long as I can. So our next cut with the white daisy is going to be 4 3/4. By 11 1/4. So same premise. Right there. And that's 11 1/4. This goes to the 3 pile. And then we have 2 cuts. We have to cut this at 6 1/4. So 6 1/4. And then we're going to flip it and do 4 1/4 twice. And these go into 3 pile. And these are scraps. So this concludes the cutting portion of the workshop. If you give me about 5 minutes, I'm going to move on over and we will start the assembly portion in the next video. I know there's 101 other things that you could be doing right now, so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me. If you would like to have a copy of this workshop, I understand you haven't seen the layout yet, but if you'd like a copy of this workshop, please go to myscraproom.net, hit the shopping link, and then hit the kits. And this is called 'Tis the Season. I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Bye-bye.